Live.
Boom, we are
go.
live.
Woo!
All right. Let me adjust my
Great.
seat. Let me adjust my seat. This is what it feels like to be. This is what it looks like.
This is what it feels and looks like. Yeah.
All right. So, Alexa, this is fantastic. We finally be able to actually have this convo. Like to just sit down and have this moment. I mean, I feel like I should just do cheers for that or whatever. Like do some kind of.
I know. I had my glass ready too.
Wow, man, I feel like I did add a lot. There was a kick there that I wasn't expecting. It's tasty. So, okay, let me see if I can add the little banner here before I forget. So, all right. So, since now that we're live, I don't know, I just think it would be a nice opportunity for us to be able to differentiate, help the folks in the type community understand the differences between a wing 6 and a wing 8. Because I feel like sometimes, I mean, I personally was typed as a 7 wing 8 for so long until realizing completely that was completely wrong. Yeah. I mean, you can see me now, right? I was like, this is not what a wing 8 looks like. But in text, that's what people think. So I think it would be really great to actually have this time to, I guess, I don't know, like just be able to share some anecdotes a little bit, present examples even of where we do differ. I guess since that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because for those who may be watching or maybe catch this live thing afterwards, it's the branch of Enneagram is what we're talking about. So basically, Enneagram talks about 9 different types, not as letters but as numbers, and it focuses a lot about growth, where you should be kind of focusing yourself, and where you are connected with the other number types that are, I guess, neighbor to your whole little grid there. I don't really have a website to send them. I mean, maybe I have a few folks that I know who are wonderful resources. So there's that. With that being said, well, let's get started. I don't know. Like, you tell me a little bit about yourself. And wait, I have to be able to pronounce this properly. I want to be able to get it right. So Alexa Crozier.
Crozier. Yeah, that's how you say it.
I did it.
You did.
I'm fantastic.
Yeah. To be fair, it looks very French or European, but it's not. Well, no, it's European, sorry, but it's not French.
Wait, is it Northern European? Is it like German kind of gay? Or
I honestly have no idea.
I instantly latched onto something. It's something with a Z. Who uses Z a lot?
I know. And I get an X and a Z.
Oh gosh, I don't know. But anyways, with that being said, 7 wing 6, 7 wing 8, major differences between us. Well, what do you think, first of all? I'd give the floor to you for a second. Like, what do you think is a huge difference between a wing 6 and a wing 8?
I think when it comes to like confrontation and the willingness to go there with people, and not having the fear of doing it, right? And I think the thought process is the same. So we both kind of want a light kind of interaction, but if we're feeling, really stressed out in those moments where we're like, oh, like I need to confront this, you might have a different way of going about it. Whereas I'm very direct with my approach with people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I actually used to think that I was like, I'm an assertive personality, because 7s generally are assertive, but I am way more flighty than I'd like to admit. I think I'm definitely the type that, like, if I ever get a chance, I'm more likely to be like, you know what, maybe I can maybe I could just kind of step out for a sec or something and be like, maybe I'd rather look at it from an outside point.
Yeah.
I'm not really engaged. It's hard to engage. How do you do it? Like, how do you engage into it's just, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how it is.
I think what ends up happening for me, and I don't know how type 8s go about it, like the full type 8. For me, I mean, I'm good until I'm not good. And then I kind of just feel like this needs to happen. And again, it's not something that I show very often with most people. Like, people probably see, if they do see that very commanding side of me, they're like, whoa, where did that come from? Especially like work people and stuff like that. Best example I could probably give would be a coworker, and she wouldn't mind if I shared this little bit, but she was having a bad day and her attitude was shit. And, we work in a restaurant, so we all kind of have to be on our game and be happy and, to some extent, right? And I like to be
there's like a face you have to present.
Yeah, and for her, like I can always tell when someone's like not doing okay, but with her it was like she kept making these like comments, like comment after comment of like, and there's a difference between like dark self-deprecating humor and then what she was doing, which was like having this like effect, and it was starting to bother me because like these little comments she would drop all the time, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so instead of just, I don't know what you would do in that scenario, you might just be like, okay, I'm just going to ignore her and just go do my thing. Like, I don't like the way this feels. Whereas for me, it got to the breaking point where I was like, I came around the corner and I just said, hey, and I grabbed her by the shoulders. I said, we need to have a conversation right now.
Damn.
I said, this is not okay. And I said it in the nicest way possible. I said, look, and I'm like, kind of like, I'm making this face to her. I'm like, look, I get it. You're going through a bad time. I'm like, but this is starting to affect me and it's driving me crazy. So can you please just keep the comments to yourself? And she was like, wow, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, thanks. And we gave like each other a really good hug and stuff. So it was received well. I think the important thing for anyone with a wing in their stack to some degree has to be a little aware of how they're coming across to people. So you can be direct, but you can still have that nice little light effects. And that's what I like about being a 7, is because we still have that ability to be direct, but also not sound like a dick in the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's funny you say, because in that same scenario, I would definitely I would definitely ignore it. I would say I'm 100%. And I would probably create distance, like actual physical distance. Like I would try to maximize it, and like kind of be as, I feel like with mine, it's very, I have to be cornered to see that happen. And this is just being in full isolation, not even factoring like my growth points or my coping strategies that I've been trying to incorporate. Like just completely get rid of those for a second and just see what it's like to be, full 7 wing 6. Yeah, I would definitely avoid. I would just rationalize it in my head as, oh, well, she's going through a bad day. That's not going to be a big deal. I feel though that when it starts affecting others, then it becomes kind of an issue. Because I've noticed with me, I could play the game, like play along and get along with them and play and adapt to their, let's say, whatever abrasion that they're presenting. But if I notice somebody else around me isn't, then I'm going to have to like step in and take it for that other person who's not having a good time. Like I had a coworker when I used to work as a barista, nobody liked her. She was just horrible. It wasn't that she was horrible, but she was very slow when it came to learning. And it wasn't really, she didn't really take in criticism well either. And she'd always have to take a break because she gets too stressed and she had to like step out or whatever. And of course, no one else had the patience. And I was like, well, okay, I'm here. So I was just, well, you know what? I will. And I even went up to the manager. I was like, I will take this person, put her in my shift. I will contain that situation so that nobody else has to deal with it. That's kind of how I translated the whole thing, because I knew I could charm my way through with this person because she listened to me, even though she hated everybody else also. Like it was two-way. She hated the people and they hated her too. And I was like, oh man, what kind of life is that? And it's just,
what kind of life is that?
What kind of life is that? But here, I don't understand it. Like I really don't understand how people could just live their life with that kind of, I guess, mindset that you're just constantly absorbing negativity. Like, come on, like you could just shove it away.
Oh, I know. And that's what really just, you can feel it off people, like it's, I agree with you. That's exactly the same approach I take. So I do try to create some distance. I'm like, you know what? Like this isn't going to affect how I like deliver myself today.
Absolutely. It's very, well, at least I'm happy. It's too bad if you're not.
No, it literally comes down to that. I'm like, well, I'm having a great time. So,
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's insane.
And that's the thing. You know what? I think we don't force them to be at our level.
Okay.
I don't know if you do this. Like I don't even feel like 7s are like this. I don't think we expect people to be like as chipper as we are or whatever, or just as outgoing and stuff like that. But we also, I think, because we project that fun into those scenarios or just that lightness, that people feel okay to at least not be that negative. So they can at least stop with that kind of negativity with like the comments or like how it's affecting others. So at least it becomes more subdued. It's not always like skyrocketing great,
No, yeah, no, definitely. Because I was kind of relating to how we're so easy to actually say things that people might even assume that's so un-7 of you to say or something. Because I've said some things where I'd be like, oh, I hate life. And then everyone's like, but you're a 7. Like, you must love life. I'm like, no, I do. It's just that I'm a frustration type. Like, we are a frustration type. We like project the ideal of the optimism onto the world. And if that doesn't, coincide or work out, we'll get frustrated and we'll get annoyed, and that's actually going to pop up anyway. I don't know if I'm as expressive though as you are. I feel like you have really good stories of expression of your moments of when you have like you feel a passion moment, be like, I hate this, and then I'm more of a hide in the corner and just be like, I'm gonna rip this slowly, like just in the background. Wait, can I know what's your gut fix? Is it 8 or is it like 9? Do you know?
My what? Sorry?
Like your gut fix, like if it's 8, 9, or 1 for your connection to your 7 tri-type.
Ooh, I have no idea, honestly. That's a good question.
Because
I've never.
Because like for me, the 9 definitely makes me blend more into the background a lot. Like it actually pushes me to be more. Also, when things go down, I'm like my option is very well. Let's go to sleep. It's a very you go into that 9 thing, just like let's go to bed. But I've noticed because I know another 7 wing 8, they have an 8 fix, and it's like another reactive kind of back for them, like a background that kind of operates. So they're very easily like you'll know. Let's say if you piss them off, you'll know 100%. I don't know if is that similar to you in any way, like when things kind of piss you off. But I mean, you mentioned that you kind of can contain it at least and deliver them in a tactful way. But has it been situations where like, oh, you're ticking me off? Like,
you know what? I don't think I'm easily rattled. It's, and I wouldn't say that 8s are, like, I wouldn't know what each 8 what they would find is what would piss them off or not. But for me, it takes a lot to really piss me off. When I get to that place, it's because there's been a perceived injustice of some kind, whether it's against me or it's just against like something that's happening in a group atmosphere where it's, for instance, like at work, when we had a really crappy day as a team, I normally could just like be like, yeah, that sucked, whatever. Like it's just another day in the airport. But what set me off completely was when there was just like some things that had been like said beneath the surface, or just people that weren't really on the mark and not really living like, or like doing what they should have been doing. And normally that would never piss me off, but it became very personal. Because I think it's more if there's a perceived like injustice against me as well.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. So it's like we're very aware, and you know this too, of if we haven't been doing a good job at something or we screwed up in some fashion, right? Like you don't need to tell me that. But when the shitstorm's happening, you're not helping, you're hurting the situation, that pisses me off. Like if you have a second to sit back and like kind of make a comment to a manager, like do something like that, then you have time to be helping, and we can all discuss this afterwards, like happy, And so in that moment, like when everyone was brought together at the end, it was so funny because my coworkers, I think half of them, their jaws dropped, because I just kind of sat there. I was like, listening to my manager, and who's quite passive, and just kind of was like, that sucked. And I said, can I say something? And I just went off. And that's so like not how I'm perceived. Like I think I even let out a few F-bombs, which is like not
delicious.
Where, like, I don't show that side with family at all, or not with family, with work, with family probably. But with work, it was very surprising, but I felt so like enraged. Like it had to come out. Whereas like that's something I don't like to do. Like no one knows that part about me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not cruel.
No, it's not. It's because you perceive the injustice. You want to correct it. So I don't know if it's a connection to like our connection to 1, or it is your wing 8. Because I have a similar kind of story about that, where what it happened with me was I was partly in charge of rehearsals because we were trying to rehearse for a performance, and it was a choreographed dance. And to me, it was a really big deal because it was for a couple of friends of mine who I really love, and we were gonna make it a big thing. And I asked them, like, I did the whole, lay out all the disclaimers. It's like, are you down for complicated dance moves? Are you down for theatrics or anything like that? And they were like, yeah, we're down for it. So I was like, okay, because you guys are down for it, I'm going to bring it then, right? Like, I'm going to present the challenge. And so everyone was cool with it until, let's say, 2 to 3 months in before the actual day. And people like dropping out like crazy. Like, either dropping out, they're giving me excuses. They're not telling me prior, like, oh, I can't make it because I'm busy. All those excuses start kicking in. You could tell, like, the boiling point of, because I suddenly now have responsibilities. And I guess that's where I come in with the whole being cornered to be engaged in this frustration just kicking in. I literally went up to a friend. I was like, I need you there. Don't give me this kind of talk about, oh, well, you could just teach us afterwards. That doesn't make sense. You don't rehearse with one person and everybody else is taking a vacation. Like, and then what am I going to do? Skype it? Like, FaceTime you or send you a video of me dancing by myself? Are you serious? Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. And then I went off, and then I started going on this long kind of monologue about, like, why
it's like a monologue.
It's like a monologue. And then you talk about carrying people. Like, I was like talking about carrying the weight of the world on my shoulder. Like, I get into this huge, long-winded. And then afterwards, I had to apologize to some of the people who were listening. I was like, I'm sorry that I made it sound like you guys weren't doing enough. Which is true. I'm like, it's true, you guys weren't doing enough, but I didn't want it to come off rude. Yeah. But I needed to let it off my chest. I feel like this is too much to handle. And it was one of those, I mean, the dance itself worked out. I just learned that there's some folks who are way more better into improvising, like when it's 1 week before the performance, then they bring it. But then I was kind of considering too the folks who don't have that mentality. You're trying to factor in the folks who need 6 months to prepare versus there's a guy out there who is very talented and can handle it in a week. It's just, everyone's different, right? So it's just one of those, and then I realized, like, I don't like organizing these things. Like, this is giving me pain because I feel like I turn into a dictator and I get all like angry. It just comes out. It's like, and like you said, it's almost weird to be in that state because you get to vent, but then you also come off very like, I don't know, my Annie is always wondering, like, how do people then perceive me afterwards if that's right, if that's the case, because it's almost
because then we kind of backpedal, like an hour later, we're like, hey, like, just so you know, like, I was just a little pissed off, like, it's nothing personal. That's totally something I do. Yeah. And I think because they're so still like, they're like, yeah, no, like, that's fine. But those same people are the ones that during the day, they're the ones dropping the negative comments. So it's like they have a chance during the day to kind of just like dispute it within themselves and get it out. Whereas we're dismissive of it at first because it is kind of like, we don't like that attitude. We don't like that aura of this person. And then I think when it becomes too much, then we're just like, well, screw it.
Oh God, that screw it option. I love it. We just drop the ball and be like, you know what? This is gonna be done. You're gonna be destroyed. Like, this is gonna go down. Oh gosh, I would say, moving back to, I guess, going back to our differences of wing 6 and wing 8. I remember we were reading, I don't know, because I showed you that link of that paragraph, right?
Yeah.
Talked a little bit about how, or it mentioned like how wing sixes come off very whimsical and animated, manic even. Like, we fit the manic pixie kind of more so, which I feel like is very clear right now. Like, really manic.
I'm more reserved with like and then you're more like animated and stuff, which I can do.
Yeah, it's just that on first impression, right? Like, I feel like my first impression is always, hey, I'm this. Like, it's very easy for me to go into that. But I love it because the opposite being of the wing it, like, you could tell that you guys are way more, to yourself. Like you said, like, it's kind of, you hold it all together. Maybe it's that gut thing. Maybe I have to take it literally. Like, you just have, it's just like gut kind of confidence there that comes in. Man, it's still really cool. I don't, what is it called? Did he say like wing 8s can come off magnanimous or something like that? I don't know. It's like, if that's the right word. I remember I came across reading it somewhere. It's something to do, like, you guys are way better at the bigger gestures of action. Because like I'm way more behind the scenes when it comes to these situations. It's not something that I am very good at, I would say. Not to say that I don't have those situations. Like as an SB Dom, it's very quick. I'm very quick on, and this is the thing that kind of makes me come off very contradictory in a way. Because the outside version of me is very nervous. Even like I can seem very nervous. I seem like I all the time. Mm-hmm. But you know, when the camera is off or when everything's going down, like I'm the one that like I love planning. I love getting all this. Like, if that isn't more SP enough, I collect tourist maps like all day, like all night. Like that's just my life. Yeah. I have IKEA catalogs upon catalogs upon catalogs, backups upon backups upon backups, and I don't know. Like I like that comfort it gives me. But what is the counterpart to you? Like, what does that counterpart look like for your end?
I don't know if I'm understanding it quite right. Like, what do I come off? Like, what am I perceived as versus how I am?
Because, like, for me, I'm perceived as definitely very whimsical, which I'm not going to deny. Come on. Like,
you know, for me, this is stupid ass girl. For me, I think for me, and I think 8s can relate to this as well. I have this very, like, authoritative kind of, like, tone to my voice sometimes, and but it's still like I want to have the fun and I want to do all this stuff. And I think I come off more like dominant that way. Whereas I'm very goofy, if you get to know me, like super, super goofy. I'll laugh, I'll do funny things. So I become almost like what you are naturally. I think we kind of maybe flip.
Like over time, you mean?
Yeah. Not even just with people, but it's almost like the closer I get. Oh, I just had something pop up. Sorry, on my screen. It distracted me. I'm like, oh my God.
It's there.
But I think, well, for instance, like a good way to look at it is I'm the ultimate cheerleader on the sidelines, but I still play rugby. Like I'll go out and hit a girl.
Ooh, that is interesting. Yeah, that's a
that sounds really bad. I'll go out and hit a girl. I don't mean it like that.
Well, he'll hit on the girl. How about that?
Both, exactly.
Yeah, you play rugby and you still will hit on a girl. Like, makes sense to me. It makes sense in my voice.
Go in with full force, somebody, and then you're on the ground. You're like, hey, you're kind of cute. You want to go on a date?
Worse than that. That's not me at all. I don't have that. That sounds amazing, but I don't have that at all. I'm very. I don't have that. I'm very like, well, I can have you as a date on my calendar. I'm free next week. Like I'm very like, let me coach you. Like, what's your favorite color?
Yeah. I think you have that more like, it's more of like a whimsical kind of nature to you. Whereas like, when you're not on all the time, you probably have more of a reserved, like wanting to do things or collect things and stuff like that. I think we're all different. It's all just about like who we are as people.
Definitely.
And how that's perceived. Because I know I relate a lot to, so I get along with a lot of sevens in general. The 8 with 7 wings, I like a lot.
I love those.
Yeah.
Anybody listening in your R?
Well, especially workers.
Absolutely. 8 wing 7s are fantastic. There's not a lot of them. I don't know. Is there a lot from yours? Because I've heard that they're kind of the rarest ones, the 8s in general. Like you just don't find 8s a lot. And it's usually when someone like identifies as an 8, they come off, they're actually counterphobic 6s or something, where they're just trying too hard to be tough, but then there's so much fear underneath. But then 8s is just like, what fear? What are you talking about? Oh gosh, it's just when you say like you get really goofy as time goes on, I feel it's a switch happens with me because this is my, I wouldn't say mask, but I'm going to say mask. Like this
like
is
outward persona. Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
if you find me at the superstore, like this is what you'd see.
Yes. Like if you show up and I'm very like, ooh, like that's the vibe. Right away. It's very, like it's really quick. But then, I get tired too. I call it like I get very, very nice in the morning. Like I'm actually super, super whimsical and awesome in the morning. And as the day goes by, I get really antsy and I want to get home right away. And they're like, why is that? Because I want to go home, rip off this mask, sharpen my horns, start sanding down my hooves, because I can't deal with it for too, like, I can't last that long. Because like there's situations where when people will just get shocked that they're like, oh, you take things pretty seriously, and they're like, oh yeah, what do you mean? Like it's just almost like a big shift, and they don't expect it. I reserve it. I reserve it for close people. I don't like expressing such a, I don't know, like a grounded demeanor, because I feel like I don't want to share that grounded demeanor with everybody. I don't know if that makes sense, but I kind of don't, and I'd rather just kind of keep it in for special folks, right? At the end of the day, I kind of want to keep it for special folks, like for folks I believe are investments in the future, which again is very, I think, Essex blind of me to even say, talk about people as investments. Well, there we go. Oh, there was a time when I actually was so worried that people might perceive me as too heartless because of my kind of views on relationships. Because whenever in text, like when I'm typing to people in a text chat or something, I am very vocal about how I like relationships to work. Like I'm very, it's very clear with me how those things happen. Like I like to see it as, I mean, I treat everything kind of like a business transaction. However, when they read that, they're always like, oh, you're that kind of person. But I'm like, no. You have to let me finish, because when I find that this person that I'm talking to, the transaction has transformed from business and monetary or intangible to intangible transactions, that's when I would say the love and the like starts kicking in. Time, it just give me time kind of thing. It'll finally kick in, and you will finally get a more grounded persona, let's say, as time goes on. Because if I,
more like fully encompassed,
like it feels like it needs some time to simmer, because I don't know, I like to keep everybody at a distance to some extent. I don't really want to get into, I mean, like I said before, like intimacy is a big problem for me. I don't really know what I can't navigate that realm really well. So I always kind of double down on backup plans, on, making sure I could, like, my biggest, I think, love language is, I think either acts of service and quality time and gifts or something. Like it's very physical based, because I don't know everything else. Like, and then the very last is physical touch. I was like, I'm like, no.
That makes sense if you're an Essex blind, because that physical touch is more up there for me.
I can't. I'm like, ew. I was like, I don't know.
Like at work, every single day at work, most of us will hug each other if we have a moment before we leave.
Gosh. If I know you, like right now,
I know, and you're just like gag.
Like right now, let's do it. Like, I don't mind hugging. Like that's fantastic. But if I just met the person, I'm very like, can you invite me to dinner first? Like, can we have a drink first?
No,
like,
exactly.
I'm very.
Yeah. And I think sevens are good at being able to utilize people for their strengths. Like we can clearly see, oh, well, you're good at this. So if I see, on the floorboard in the morning, oh, so-and-so's on this side and so-and-so's on this side, I'm like, okay, well, I know like my, the goal for me is usually just to be on top of things and want to, but have fun doing it. Right. So it's like, I know that in order to keep this vibe a thing, we need to have this in place to do it. And so I make sure that that gets done. And so I can kind of delegate that, or like see, what needs to be done and who's good at what. So it's like, oh, well, maybe so-and-so can do this, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely. Maybe that's a more direct approach of like an 8, right? Like commanding, but not in like a, hey, go do this, like a boss. I mean, in a way,
I feel like you're better at that, like the delegating expression wise. Because to me, it's very quick of me to know when I'm entering a room who's best at what, but I'm not really good at like being the one to tell them that. I'm usually more, I don't know if I did tell this to you before, right? I was like, I'm the one that like whispers to the host of the party and be like, hey, so that one's like,
that's a doctor.
Yeah. I'm like, for anybody with a heart attack, like just go with
whereas I'm like, oh, I'll go find the doctor if you need help. Like I know who that is.
Gosh. I don't know. For me, my biggest issue is I don't know what it's like to be in the moment. I don't know what that is. Like that seems so weird for me. It's so hard. I mean, maybe that's just an ENFP thing in general.
I was going to say, it sounds like an ENFP thing, because I'm saying I'll have to like relive the scenario after and really get a feel for what happened,
Oh, we got people. Sorry, we got folks. So Caitlin is here. Goes, yes, hi friends. What's up? What's up? Awesome. So for the folks who are here, yes. So if you guys are like, for the folks here, please ask us questions. You have us for I don't know how long you have us, but you have us. Have us when you still can. Ask us anything. And then we will be as honest and I don't know what's the other word for that. I don't have TI. Yeah, maybe that. Maybe that.
That's what it kind of sounded like.
Yeah, something like that. I would, yeah, no, completely. And we as sevens too, like we're very future oriented, right? We're always like, we know the answer is tomorrow. Like I have this thing where I had such a hard time understanding the concept of relying on my own thoughts because I'm like, I could always just find solutions outside of me. Like I was so easily able to research and find solutions all the time. So I didn't ever have that kind of problem sitting there and being like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna have like no, like ask, grab, take. Like it's just simple. And then if the day doesn't go well, you have tomorrow anyway. So that's the big deal. And then you meet other types, and then they're like, no, they're not like that. And I was like, oh, fascinating. Because oh gosh, we would have like a very weird like that. For the different kind of ENFPs, let's put it that way. We have they just focus on different things. Oh, there we go. First question. Here, let me bring it up.
I love how you just like perked up.
Yeah. Right here. Yeah. Okay. So Caitlin says, how did you determine your Enneagram type and which others, if any, did you consider you might be? I think I was quintessential 7. Like I don't think it's ever changed for me. Like no one's ever brought up, oh, you might be this. I personally thought I could have been a 3 because of how weird I act sometimes when it comes to image focus, like beauty and all that stuff. But the difficult one was the wing 6 and wing 8 because most of my introduction into the type was through text chat communities, so they couldn't never see this side of me. Even though the whimsical side was very obvious. What about you, Alexa? What's the...
well, I'll let you ask.
The journey.
Yeah, the journey to self-discovery. I always typed as type 7. I haven't taken the official Enneagram test, but I talked to a lot of people off Twitter. I did my research. I did take a number of different kind of tests through people that I know and trust. And I, for the longest time, I remember when we were on Discord chatting, I had like my little pop-up as like 7 wing 6. And for the longest time, like I didn't really know much about it. I kind of read the surface value of 7 wing 6. I'm like, yeah, I guess that fits because I resonated more with the 7, right? So I didn't really see like 6s, they're kind of fearful. I'm like, well, and so you kind of try to find when you first get typed, you try to find, okay, how does that fit in the box that is me? And so you kind of try to find placements. And if most of it makes sense, you're like, okay, that's my type. But then as time went on and like even a couple people called me out on it. They were like, are you sure? They're like, for one, you play rugby. Like you're not scared to do that.
Like 7 wing 6, totally like pummels.
Yeah. The biggest thing is too, is my willingness to mediate situations and to get involved and be completely impartial to them, to keep the mood like this and like set, but like just be like, I'm more drawn to that, right? Like, and I'm more drawn to standing up for people or doing stuff like that. And especially myself. So it's almost like, it's not like I'll get mad if you ask me to do something, but if you didn't ask me in a nice way, I'm going to be like, why did you say it like that? You know, whereas you might just be like, okay, I'll do it.
Gosh, when you said mediating.
So I'm set on the 8 wing.
Like, I would hate that. I am such a big, like, I don't like inspiring people. I don't like helping people. I don't like being in front of, I have this thing, like, where, and I'm also big on being mischievous. Like, that's a big thing for me. Yeah. Like,
but I think they both derive from more selfish places. Would you agree with that? Because for me, it's not even about, like, I want to help this person. It's like, what I just saw doesn't sit right with me.
There we go.
Same with you, right?
Yeah, for me, it's like and I'm
also. If it helps the people, I'm like, well, this needs to be talked about in a, specific manner.
Sometimes I will find the person who's good at that, so I'll look for you for mediating situations. I'll be like, oh, this person's fantastic. Let me throw her in your direction, because I like to whisper in people's ears, and I'd be like, hi, I'm here on this earth to tempt. I'm here to enable all of your bad tendencies. Let's have fun. And then they're like, what are you talking about? And then it's usually they're type 1s. They're like, I'm perfect, I'm great. And I'm like, how about we mess with that? let's just ruin your day. How about that? And then I play little pixie little situation where I'll like kind of flee and do that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't say that mediating is, it takes energy out of me to be grounded in that same sense. I feel that's not something that's natural for me, which I'm actually happy that that's like something that you have. That's really great, because man, like I feel like I have to work on it. Like if you, I don't know if the theory of trying to work on being a balanced 7 involves being able to take your other wing advice or something, like the other wings principles, and incorporate it into your own. Because like I would say that that's actually been one of the hardest things. Like I don't mind giving people hard news, like like you're fired or we need to let you go, all that stuff. Like that's not hard for me to say, because I feel like I grew up getting a rise out of them.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable for me, but I would still find a way to do it in a nice way.
I love getting a reaction. I love getting them.
It's like ESTP type 8. You're fired. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I like sitting there and being like, so by the way, you haven't been producing enough for us, so we have to let you go. So I hope you have a good time. Like maybe we can have drinks later tonight.
And they're like, I want to hate you, but I can't.
Because I offered drinks. I'd be like, hey, I'll help you load your stuff into your car.
I think that's the beauty of it. Yeah, because I think people might want to hate us because they're like, wait, what you're saying? Like, what the hell? But you are so nice to me. So they just don't. I feel like that's the vibe, honestly. They're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have people tell me that they're like, I've had folks tell me that I could get away with everything, basically, is what they're saying. Like they get all annoyed because I could just say whatever I want, and then people would just chalk me up as just this happy-go-lucky person, which is, as a wing 6, yes, that makes sort of sense, but in a way, I kind of also find it hilarious because a lot of what I do is actually also carefully calculated in the background. Like I asked you, when you said about wing 8s, what was it you said? You said something about, you had a really, really memorable quote like earlier, and I completely forgot it, because I was going to say my counterpart quote was, measure the cliff before I jump it. That's kind of where I'm at as an SP7.
Did I see this to you on Facebook?
No, just earlier in the thing. Oh gosh, I totally forgot. But you said something interesting as your social 7 type of moment, like your social 7 wing 8 moment. And then I have like mine's an SP 7 wing 6 moment, which is measure the cliff before you jump it. I'm still gonna jump it. I mean, come on, it's great, it's a fun time. But I don't want to die. I don't want to. I want to guarantee that there's a net somewhere or enough water. But yeah, like it's so fascinating to see how that goes, because I don't know, like I love getting a rise out of people like that, but I hate being caught for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like
almost like when no one laughs at your joke, you're like, oh, busted.
Yeah, well, oh gosh, maybe I just double down on being annoying and then be like, oh yeah, hey, dumb, don't worry about me, and I'll just like walk away. I've had situations where I'd like let people believe I was stupid because it's easier. Like it's just easier. Even Heidi mentioned something like that actually, where she said it's an ENFP thing where we would rather you don't really believe that we're smart because we'd rather you have that than you thinking we're evil or something like that. Or I don't know. It's like we'd rather we just not have to deal with that situation.
Yeah. No, but honestly,
too much thinking.
That's like some people I know. I'm like, you will know me up into a point, right?
Yes.
And that's fine by me. Like, so some people get pissed off in the workplace. They'll be like, why is the manager so buddy with this person? I'm like, I don't really care. I'm like, I really don't. I'm like, I'm here to do a job and I'm going to have fun doing it. And the people that I like, they're going to come to me. And if, my manager's not one of those people, I'm like, that's fine, because he can just see me as someone who gets the job done and just has a good time doing it.
Okay, I heavily relate to that a lot, because I always believe that if ever any job I enter, I have to create a persona that enjoys this job. So I'm like reframing my entire life to fit the job's, I guess, needs, as well as have a little, positivity sprinkled there. And then just work it. Like we talked about this, I think, prior to starting live. Never ask a 7 if they're enjoying their job, because you will always say yes.
Yes. That was like, it's like someone saying, when you asked me when I first got on the chat here, you said to me, so how are you doing today? And I was like, I'm good. And then I went, well, wait a minute. Are we good when we say that? Or is that just like the response we just give because it's I think a lot of people can relate to that. We're not gonna be like,
yes, you need to tell us if it's hard. Was it bad? Was it, or no, like what's hard about it? Were you challenged? Then we can elaborate. Okay, Caitlin's got another question. Thank goodness. Caitlin's question is: are there certain types you feel drawn to, and why? I'll start with you first.
Type 2, I like because I think they obviously just want to help. That's like their driver, right?
Are you mistaken as a 2? I'm just gonna, because I heard the counter type 7, which is you, because you're a counter type.
No, never been mistaken as a 2. I worked with a 2, but I worked with an ENFP as well, who was a 2.
Okay.
And the rapport is great because, like, maybe I don't know if a 2 might be a little sensitive to like an 8. A 7 wing 8 though, we have a lot of fun, and they're not someone that I have a hard time going, hey, could you do this for me, please? And they're just like, yeah, absolutely. And you can ask them that, and they kind of jive with it, right? I love other type 7s. So my really good ones is a 7. And believe it or not, I love 5s. And I know 5s are like, why would you love 5s?
Oh, that's so fascinating. I have such a hard time with 5s.
Not all 5s. But it's weird. But I think what I'm drawn to is they ground me. They feel very grounding.
Ooh.
And I don't know if that's like, it's nice. I think they create this really great space for our shadow parts to kind of emerge and just like be. Because they're just like, yeah, I'm down here anyway. And then we're like the type 7, we're like, I'm going to come crawl down there with you and bring a flower. Hi.
Oh, gosh, that's
so that's kind of like, yeah. And I wouldn't say this. I don't know many type 5s, but from the type 5 that I know, it's kind of like that. But overall, definitely probably gravitate more to like, obviously 7s, 2s. 4s are great too. They can be pretty intense. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, if it's too intense in a bad way, I'm like,
it's gonna take a break. Like, sorry.
I know. And that's the thing. And that's the thing is, but at the same time, I appreciate the space they can hold for other people. They're so giving that way. And you're just like, barf.
No, if that ain't the T, they are so giving of that.
They are.
I say 4s and us do not get along in theory, like based on our differing perspectives. But I found even too with myself, like I actually have a lot of great 4 friends. Like
so do I. Yeah.
Like they're actually really great to talk to. I feel like we like that's another one that we balance well because Beatrice would mention about how we represent the light of the Enneagram, and then the 4s represent the dark in some way because they focus on the difference. Like they focus on the what is it, like the negative space between people, and then we focus on the positive space between people. So it's just that trade-off, which is fascinating. I get along a lot with, actually no, it's funny because my best friend's a 2, so obviously 2s. Totally with that. 4s was, I did mention it, one of my favorite ones would either same, has to be fellow 7s. I feel as though when I am around other 7s, I can finally just relax because I feel like I have to be the responsibility of being the happy, optimistic one all the time when there aren't any 7s in around. Because you can't just be real with your fellow, like you could be real with your fellow 7. You could just be, life does suck, and they're not gonna believe it. They're gonna be able to take it for what it is, which is you just being a 7 moment. But then you have other people who might actually interpret that differently.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing, like a big problem of mine with other types. I actually get along a lot with 1s.
Yeah, me too.
It's strangely so. 1s and 8s are fantastic. The ones I have a hard time getting along with are actually 6s. 6s I've had a lot of rough patches with. And it depends too on their variant. So you have like counterphobic 6s. I found are too like confrontational in a way, but then it's also kind of empty because to the SX6s that you like, who knows this, it's kind of like, I get it, you're testing me to see if I'm trustworthy or loyal, whatever, but then like as an SB7, like I already know I'm that. So like I don't really need you to ruin my vibe, my mood with your pettiness. But like, fine, I'm here. But that's too bad. If
you're a mood killer, you're not probably gonna be. Yeah,
I'm very like, and then SB6s are very right away, like, you can tell that there's a worry there, which
facial expressions.
There's a worry there, and it's a hit or miss for me, because some are awesome, and then some are just why do you trust that you're scared? I don't understand. Like, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around that. It's like, why would you want to live in a world of fear? Like, that's just something that I've been.
I don't think they want to, per se, right?
It feels like they do, because they always kind of pursue fear, and I'm like, stop chasing after it. Then you'll never get. Then you can avoid it. But then again, that's like my thing as a 7 is I avoid it, whereas they, run towards it. So that's kind of what gives them that edge sometimes.
Yeah.
And then when you said 5s, I found that interesting because, I mean, in casual settings, I think I've gotten along with a lot of 5s. I feel like I just get really frustrated because they are basically hermits, and they don't really, they're not as open about their feelings as I would like them to be. Because we are from the same fear triad, that they're going about this out of fear as well. It's just it's like a different coping strategy. But I want to be able to bond with them in some way and be like, hey, I get it. I know you may not always call back or whatever, but that's totally fine. I just want to know, are you still alive? Did you die? Like, are you okay? Like, we don't have to talk for 2 weeks. That's fine by me. It's just that I don't always know. And then I don't always know where I stand with them. So it's very
true enough. And I've felt that way too, but I feel like we have a really good way of kind of just reinserting ourselves and respecting the boundary at the same time. Maybe like some don't, but I've learned to respect that boundary. But I think they appreciate that about us, that we're able to be like, hey, just checking in on you. It's me.
It's like, hey, dropping a tequila. Here's a Patron.
Yeah, exactly. And like we kind of like tempt them out of that little dungeon that they live in.
Which I'm gonna say the dungeon's not bad. Like being in lockdown, like being quarantined now, when you have no choice but to face your 5, it's kind of all right. We can live with it. I can roll with this. I have a
question. Wait, is there another one here before I go ahead?
Do you have something to say first? No, we're good. I hope that answered the question for you, by the way, if you're still listening.
Yeah, hopefully. Sorry, Caitlin, because I just
we just kind of went off there. She's also an ENFP, so we're fine.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I know about Enneagram. I know the bits and pieces about the other types, but not as well as Nate. So I'm probably not as good to answer that question. I just know based on people that I've interacted with who I know what their type is, that's
pretty good. Like, you're actually really on the dot there. So
perfect. Perfect. For me, I was gonna say, do you ever have this where, and I retweeted this because it was something I picked up from another podcast with type 7s, and that they feel that they come with this like such this light air to them, that their depth isn't always appreciated in those settings.
Yes, right? You brought that up. Yes.
Yeah, and when I really heard that, I was like, damn, that's so true. And so I think that like our tribe ends up being those people. Like my really good friend is a type 7, and her and I can be so vulnerable together. We can talk about shit. We can have a cry together. We can do what we need to do to kind of like encourage each other in a sense. And I would say in those moments too, like I've had it at work, if I'm not, or even when I come home after a long day, if I'm not like me, like extra Alexa, people go, is something wrong with you?
Oh,
are you okay? And I'm like, well, I'm great. I'm just, living the 5 life right now.
Yeah.
I'm just in my zone, and I just want to stay there. And I'm like, rest assured, if something's wrong, you will know. Like I will tell you. But that in that sense, it's like we almost have to carry the mood of a group, and when it's off, people really notice. So they kind of flock to you and start like blah 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 blah. Not that we don't like that. We can see they care.
Yeah.
But sometimes in those moments, if something really is wrong, we're like, don't talk to me. I don't want to cry. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. No, I feel 100% the exact same way. It's so hard to find like who the person is that if they're going to see you differently, because that I feel like there is a depth that you really, I personally would want to share with somebody, but it's almost as if that over the years that I've had this whimsical swing 6 mask going on for life, that it's almost becoming harder to kind of like for people to appreciate that there's another side of me, right? That there's more to that. And I think that's one of the scariest things, is to even acknowledge that to take a risk in that sense. I'm thankful though that I have friends who have seen me in my crying side and know that this isn't something like, this is just me having a moment, right? And it's not actually ruining a mood or something, because I can perk up like quickly, like that's not hard.
Exactly.
But
like a tear will come out and you'll be like, Kim, great, that was awesome.
Exactly. Absolutely. Be like
I cry. I'll admit it. I will cry if I need to. I'm not afraid to do that.
I have a song that will send me to tears. I never listened to it because it would automatically send me to tears. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have like playlists for moods?
Yep.
Totally. And I think it's an ENFP thing as well, where I had something I was going to say and it's like completely wiped from my brain. It had to do with what you were talking about. Damn.
The mood thing, like, or just the depth?
It'll come back to me, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I definitely have. I make playlists all day, all night. Like it's just, I like to play Russian roulette sometimes with my moods because I listen to so many different music. So it's very like, what mood am I gonna feel today? And I'll like click something and it'll just go into that. But 100%, I actually have a playlist called like For Your Shady Seven or something, and it's just everything that's related to sevens, like all these good stuff. Yeah. And it does its job. It automatically perks me up if I'm feeling a little low. It's an automatic like hit, like it's an injection of energy.
Yeah. It's a 7 wing 6 song, because I'll give you a wing 8 after.
Oh shoot, what is a 7 wing 6 song actually? Like, I don't know. That's a good question. What
about the one you shared today? Because I would say the one that I would say for 7 wing 8 would be Feeling Good by Muse.
Gotcha. Oh,
like the feel of it, the intensity behind that band, but like the fact that they're saying really like positive things.
Shoot. Okay, wait. I have to really, I'm playing it in my head. It's definitely must be it's either Good Day, Surfaces, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's very, it's imagined almost. It's like a conceptual happiness.
Yeah.
That kind of I have. No, I think that's another, like anything by Surfaces. Actually, I feel like that band's just killing it for me. If you can take me away into a beach vibe and that's the music, like then we're here. Like I'm all about that. Yeah. Shoot, yeah. You know, it's so hard for me to type songs. I have a hard time with that. Actually, that's one of my biggest struggles, I think. Yeah. I'm like, you could see in my face, just like trying to.
I know you're losing it. I remember that comment though. If you want me to change the subject.
No, you do? Go for it.
I do, to some degree, yeah. It was something about like, I think it's an ENFP thing where we have this like depth of feeling. It was about the crying and stuff. Oh my God, there's like a fuzzy in my face. But we don't, like all the things we want to say, we kind of like reserve and like say bits and pieces because we don't want to come off as needy.
Oh.
We're like, oh, this is what I really need, but how do I say it so I don't come off needy? And we're like, oh, fuck. You know, it's just like,
that ain't the tea. Like, that is so true. Because I would love to be able to express it so well and it just be appreciated for what it is. But like I'm rolling in my head like scenarios of just going like, it's just not gonna work out. Which is weird because I don't actually have an issue with rejection. Yeah. Like let's just say in rejection in any kind of conceptual general sense, I actually don't have that much of a problem with it. Like I've had friends who
I think we're afraid of misrepresenting ourselves because we go, wait, just because I'm like this in this moment, this person's gonna think I might be unstable all the time, and I'm not. It's so true. Like I think boys are more willing to be like, I don't give a shit what you think of me. Like I'm gonna be unstable if I want to be. And we're just like, oh God, we don't want that to be.
But we're little so much confidence. I don't know how people can do that. That's so good. I don't understand. No, you're completely. I think you have it. I think you got that on the dot right there. Is that fear of being misrepresented? Because I had situations where sometimes I would kind of teeter-totter moods. Like I'd be like, just kind of go through a big shift there, and like I know I can do that. It's just that, I have to pick my people. Like you can't just do that to some random person. Although some days, if I am looking for a reaction, I might just go up to a person, just fully remove the mask and be like, right? Yeah. But when I'm genuinely having a 7 being confused moment of, am I going to be sad today or am I going to fight it? And then your brain kind of looks really lost because you're like, should I be angry? Should I be sad? I don't like those emotions.
work, and then it'll be fine. And you're crying when you see like a mother duck walk by. You're like, oh,
well, what happens with me is as I'm walking, I'd have that half face going on where I look very confused and very concerned.
Yeah.
And then people are like,
yeah.
Insane. Oh, by the way, I think Emily, if you're still watching, thank you for hello.
Feel that about the depth. I'm a 7 wing 6.
Well, right. Yes. What else did that podcast talk about? So like we're waiting to be appreciated for beyond just this typical happy vibe, because that is there. Like how 4s are able to be chill and cool too. It's just that they're more known to be engaged in the darker emotion and stuff. But that isn't them all the time either, right? Like people are complex anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you could say that the same about 1s too. Like people think that they're all like perfectionists, stick up their ass there all the time. But some of them actually can get down with the dirty and like have a good time. Which if you're a 1 and you saw this, let's get down with the dirty. Like. Like, let's cause some chaos. I'm right here.
That's right. How would you say you? So I read up on the type 7 too, and I was talking about like addiction, stuff like that, and just like coping mechanisms. You're like, you're just like, wait a minute. Speaking of which,
I'm kidding. I have a very addictive personality. I'm also very susceptible to advertisements. Like a lot. When someone's like Fanta, I'm like, oh gosh, now I need one. I'm like, I want one now.
Give me that high. Yeah.
Seriously, like it's just, oh gosh, I don't even know why. I love collecting vices, if that makes any sense. It doesn't have to be a typical vice. Like, it doesn't have to be those things that we are afraid of. Like I've never done a drug. That's the thing. Like I've never done one. However, I am like intrigued by it. But besides the point, I've been experimenting with drinking a lot. I've experimented with like it could even be anything, like just gathering a really weird habit, even like I like collecting that kind of stuff. And over consuming, oh gosh, I put on 40 pounds in 4 years. It's insane. I tell everybody now that I'm like 6 months pregnant, and that's just the reality of my life. I have a baby. His name is Bartholomew, and he's awesome.
They're like 40 pounds in 4 years. They're like, that's me in like 3 months. What the fuck?
Oh, it was a steady growth. But my parents still think that I'm just gonna turn into this huge like ball of mass of just food, and I'm like, no, like I move around. I'm still a 7. Like I'm still moving around.
Like, are you ever so bored that you just walk to the fridge and stare at it?
Yes. I mean, I had a philosophical conversation. Like we've been there.
I'm hungry. Like I'm bored, so I want to eat something. I don't know. Like,
how are you with boredom? How is that with the boredom on your end?
With the boredom?
Yeah.
I feel restless. I feel like, I used to say this to an ex, actually. We would just be doing nothing. And usually I can do nothing with people and it's fine. Mm-hmm. But progressively, I think because I was ignoring inner like conflicts within myself, those moments would upset me. I'd be like, can we just do something? Can we just do something? Because like, that's how fired up I felt. And I just didn't want to feel that discomfort. And I was so blind to the fact that this was about me and like other deeper rooted issues, and not about like what's currently happening in the dynamic between the two of us. So it affected my relationship that way. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but you can feel it in your body. So that's one thing that I'm doing right now in my program. And especially for an ENFP, it's great. It's like being more in tune with your body and like what it's trying to tell you and where you get your attention.
Really? I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. So I would say that to people, and for 7s especially, like try to find out where stuff lands in your body. Like sometimes I would feel very weird in my hands, like discomfort in my hands, like fidgety, and I want to do something. Or like some people feel heaviness in their chest, stuff like that. But yeah, so I noticed that restlessness would just like come on, and I'd be like, almost like you get like the sweats. Like you're like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
I need to get
I
out
have
of
a metaphor which kicks in with me,
Yeah.
and I'm very, and it kind of creeps up on the back of my neck sometimes. It kind of gets into my head, and I get really annoyed, and it's almost, I would match it to a boiling point. And I've had situations where, like when I went to the Philippines for a vacation, and my parents just would rather just chill with fam, and we're all chilling with fam. But then I was like, this is 3 weeks of chilling with fam. I'm like, you're in a tropical country. I was like, and I got really angry. I was like, this is not happening. Where is the Airbnb? I could be surfing right now. Like,
exactly.
I could be feeding the little fishes. Oh gosh. Oh, Emily has another question. Actually, I will bring it up. Emily says, "Do either of you feel intimidated when you have to make big decisions for yourself, such as deciding on a long-term goal?"
Ooh. And I think as an ENFP, and that any just goes into overdrive of like, well, why do I have to pick one thing?
Oh yeah.
That's like asking me. It's like asking me, what's your favorite song? I'm like, I have like tons, and it's so dependent on so many other things.
I like to bypass it and be like, I have a favorite album instead,
Yeah,
which is like
exactly.
I'm like, and then you pick one.
Yeah. But no, to get back to the question, intimidated when you have to make a big decision. For me, I think the fear that lived in me for a long time was like putting myself out there, almost like what I'm doing now, but like for what I want to do with my career. So that was like my big thing. That was like the big, ooh, like, can we do this? And I was stuck. I was frozen is what I would call it for a long, long time, because I felt comfortable in that space. So as much as sevens don't want to admit it, still a space of control, right? Because we feel good in this space. We can control how we feel.
Oh, been there.
Yeah. And sometimes like that's the perfect metaphor for it. It's like you're at a traffic light, it turns green, but you're stuck. You're just stopped. You don't want to progress. You don't want to go anywhere because you don't know where to go. And then, you could do that for a year or 2 years, and then suddenly cars start piling up behind you. And then you're like, okay, I can kind of feel that. I don't like that. And then they start honking and like getting right on your ass. And that's what I would describe as like the fire that like starts to get you restless inside. And then, so that's kind of how I feel. It's not even like intimidated. It's like, I'm actually paralyzed with fear because I don't know what to do. And I don't know where to go. And I think in doing the work of, really listening to your inner voice and trying to be reflective on it, journal a lot, do yoga, stuff like that, get real with like, what is it you want to do? And don't feel like you have to pick one thing. Know that you can be sporadic in your life. You don't have to always be this traditional, I have to work this job for the rest of my life. Like sevens need to realize nothing has to be permanent unless you want it to be.
This is so beautiful. Like, just finally there's a person out there who believes this.
And that's what we're stuck on. Yeah. Like, I can make this choice. The time's going to pass anyways. Just do something. That's what I would say. Just do something. The best things have happened to me just by doing them. Like I took a master program in acting. I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I did it. And I'm like, whoa, this was the best experience of my life. So just do it. Do it.
Oh gosh, this is beautiful. Because
we're getting to richness now. It's only been an hour and 2 minutes.
I know. No, because like for me, it's very like, I don't also feel intimidated necessarily. Because I like I mentioned before, like I love having backup plans up on everything. And I'm actually really big on so-called conventional, traditional kind of futures. Like actually I'm big on, I want to own a home and a white picket fence, all that stuff. But my biggest issue is like, I don't got nobody to share that with. Might as well just buy my house alone. Like if that's how it's gonna be.
You have no one to share it with, you might not feel like you can attain it, or you should.
Yeah, and sometimes I delay it because I don't want to have to go through that yet. But another thing, like you mentioned, oh gosh, like you said, so many good nuggets of wisdom in that. So much, because you definitely have to tell yourself to move, because sometimes we are even blind to our own fears. Like I was in the process now of practicing a radical honesty when it comes to fear. Like even if I don't feel it, I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm scared. Like this is why I'm not moving or something.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize I'm actually terrified like all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, ignore it. The whole ignorance is bliss situation. I just don't bother. And like it carries on while driving. Like I love driving. Don't get me wrong. It's the best thing in the world. And I would love racing if I ever could. But I'm terrified every time I'm on the road. And I replace that feeling of fear by playing really loud music or having friends with me, or like doing something while driving so that I could, it's not like I'm on my phone, I'm not, but like, I mean, like having the windows down, for example, feeling the wind, like it's anything I could do to kind of keep that.
You create experience. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm learning that by doing so, by being open and honest with the fact that we are afraid, is why we can actually gain the power to control it and be our best self, like in a way. Because like we are kind of operating on that, and we have to be open and honest with ourselves. Like it's crazy that sometimes like you can tell when a 7 isn't really facing their fears, because there's a gung-ho mentality that you can tell. I guess we as fellow 7s, we could tell it's just a mask. It's like, we know, like, we as your fellow type, like we know you're just saying that kind of thing. But then when you have folks who are really embracing, oh gosh, when you said like those things about like, oh, we have to keep moving, we have to have this light, like maybe even like a fire under your ass to like make it happen, and you'll get all this good stuff. I was like, yes. This is what we're here for, living for the energy. I hope, Emily, we answered your question.
She likes that. Before we go on to Denzel, because I see he just posted a question, I want to say one more thing about this, because it was very important to me in finding out like that I wasn't really dealing with my shit.
Ooh,
yes. A lot of the times, what you talk about, like creating a positive experience for yourself, there's a huge thing of coping. Like there's a huge difference between coping and actually dealing with something.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
for the longest time, I was like, well, I feel good about this now. Like I changed how I feel about it, but I didn't deal with it. So I would create like a healthy coping mechanism. For others, it could be a negative coping mechanism where they drink or do those kind of like into the vice area. But for me, it's like I would positively reframe my situation, or, you know, go on a hike or do something that made me feel good, or, you know, write out my feelings. But those were only so surface, and it's almost like reading a self-help book and then being like, okay, I read the book, see you later. Like you have
that is so relatable. I completely agree. Yeah, no, I absolutely completely agree with that.
Which would tie into Denzel's something about FI.
Let me bring it up.
So that's like FI work is what I would call it.
Being that FI is your auxiliary and that we're both 7s, how long did it take for us to actually learn to sit with darker feelings? Is it still hard? How did you learn? I love it. I love these questions. This is like a meaty question.
How long did it take? Well, I'm turning 29 in July, so about that long.
You relate to what they mentioned in Chestnut's book about the fall from grace moment that 7s have, where we finally realize the world isn't as rosy, quartz, and delicious as we think it is.
Yeah.
Because I had that when I had my first breakup, and I went to full hermit mode. 6 months, lights off the grid. It was a negative growth into 5. Like it wasn't even a good side of 5. I just went full on. I completely changed. And I became kind of like an empty shell of a guy. That was what happened. And that was such a big like little moment that finally brought up like the truth to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to be responsible for me. I can't be offsetting my needs to other people. I can't be offsetting thinking that my positivity, other people are easily going to take it, or I'm going to take this, or it's just, I have to be responsible for me. And another big part is the reframing wasn't enough. Like it wasn't doing its job anymore. You know, like you go through enough drinks and you realize that you are still problematic. Like, right? You go through enough bottles to realize you're like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm actually not doing so well.
Like, well, yeah. And then when all that comes down, the problem is still there.
It's still there. And it's like no matter how much food I would like, I ate, like the thing is I have that thing where I'm both eating my feelings and I also just love to eat also. So it really doesn't matter. Just give me food. So that's just been my feel good food little situation also. And I'm just kind of like, I don't get, or I didn't understand that was where my biggest flaw lied, like where it stayed and I needed to deal with. And with the whole FI being that you deal with your own emotions, your own feelings, your own focusing on your own, like forming your own values over things. Like I personally have ended up ignoring it for quite some time. I think now, because I've been hanging around with 4s enough, like ENFP 4s, and being with people that I am allowed to be vulnerable with, is I'm actually learning to acknowledge and trust that FI actually has merit. I used to think it didn't have merit. I used to not even trust it. But every time I listened to FI, I was actually never wrong, which is like the craziest phenomenon. So right? So like I would have bad feelings about people and I just ignore it until it was too late. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I should have just listened to myself and this would have avoided heartache. But you know, and it's just the thing. I would go into the how did you learn portion like later. I want to hear what you have to say first on like you being your FI being second also, because we can talk about the application after.
I think it's like you start seeing things in your life and the way they're playing out, it can get repetitive, right? So whether it's a specific thing, it's a specific feeling, if anything. It's not a specific scenario. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be just anything. It could be the fact that you're stuck somewhere and you're not progressing in your life, which is huge for me for sure. And so how long did it take to actually learn to sit with darker feelings? I don't know if I have an exact timeline on how long it took me, but I would have moments where like I would sit with the feelings and I'd have like an emotional release. Mm-hmm. And then it'd be like, okay, I'm like, not that I'm good, but I'd be like, that sucked. But then, like you said, it's a new day. So that's that day. And then now here's a new day. But sometimes it takes, and sometimes those bad things wouldn't come up for months, for years. So it's just, though it's hard to say for each 7, like where they finally have that fall from grace moment you called it? Yeah. I think it's just when you finally, like, that fire under your butt just starts burning you to the point where you're like, well, what do you want me to do? And you're like, nothing I'm doing is working. And so
regarding what you said about the difference between coping and dealing, sometimes we have to draw that distinction. We really have to be strict with ourselves about that.
We do, exactly.
Because if we keep rationalizing ourselves out of situations and out of our negative feelings, they don't leave. FI for us, it stays. Even if we bury it, it stays. Exactly. Like we hold both the negative and the positive forever, and we can bring it out. Where I like to call it, like, we like to put our feelings on frozen. Like we like to refrigerate our feelings, and we like to take it out whenever we can. And
it's like you thaw out a little bit, but not completely.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is too, like, I think folks have gotten the, let's say, the negative side of that FI. Like they've, you know, the bad, unhealthy, negative things that we've stayed with us, but we also store positive feelings too that can come out. But it's just that, like, with dealing and coping, being able to find that your tribe, your person to talk to and have this out and having that interaction with, I think it's such a big thing for us, I guess, one as ENFPs and also as 7s, to feel secure is another one about our darker side of ourselves. Because I had to be able to, like, look at me and be like, I have to like you. You know, I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I have to like this. Like, I have to be able to look in the mirror and not be ashamed of what I present to the world, as I present it to myself first when I wake up in the morning. You know, like that kind of thing. Like, I gotta be into that somehow. And sometimes that's something we all have to kind of work out, especially coming out of, like, your rocky hormonal teenager shenanigans. We all kind of all in the same boat, right? But everybody kind of has to get to that state of, what is it, like, self-esteem, like having a positive self-image. We all have to kind of get to a place where it is realistic and it is like,
and not
doable.
Exactly. And to understand that no one does this perfectly. Like, all the Instagram models you see, all, like, the wisest, whatever, they still have things somewhere. And you have this perpetuated, like, sense that everyone's doing so well except us, and it's not true. And I'm talking about not just type 7s, just everybody. And we still have to remind ourselves every day those things. Self-esteem is like the journey with self. It's something that we're going to be working at for the rest of our lives.
It's not a permanent thing.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's not permanent.
Nothing is permanent. So we have to be on point. And a wise drag queen once said, let me start with that. No one is ever that fierce. And then and that self-image and self-esteem, it has its ebb and flow. Like, you're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have there's gonna be days where you look in front of the mirror and you just feel chubby, and that's life. Like, you're just gonna have to embrace the fact that this is just something that we face. But I think maybe because we're 7s, we consciously have to work at it. Because it's something that we're used to. Like, it's one of our coping strategies all our lives, is being able to try to find some sliver of good in everything we do. But I mean, I guess to connect it with Denzel's question, it's also that connection to our darker side. You know, that it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be scared, it's okay to be angry. Like, all the things that we probably are little bit more ashamed to express. I know it is with me. Like I'm a little bit more worried to express certain things because I don't want to be misrepresented, like you said. Like I didn't
Whereas
want to
me,
have.
it comes out like abrasive. So if it's
Yeah.
like challenged, it's like, well, don't come at me. Like, you don't know what I'm going through. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's like the eightness, like defensive. Yeah. It's like, that's exactly how it comes out. And is it so hard? How did you learn? So I had something else to say too, and just kind of like 7 advice would be, and to tie into Denzel's question, is that you don't have to have a definitive answer, or because we're so future oriented as well, right? Especially as ENFPs. But 7s want to like always, you reach for that. And to understand that you don't have to have the answers, but you can still pave the way for that journey, and you can still make it what you want it to be. You can make it fun, but you have to allow like those bumps in the road to, almost like what he said, to sit with them. Like those bumps in the road, sometimes they're just meant to take you off course a little bit, but allow that to happen. And you can still find ways to make it fun, because the beauty of it, the beauty of being a 7 though, and you'll probably be able to relate to this, is that no matter what, we can laugh at something about ourselves that we've gone through. We can find a way to make it, like, I think in a healthy state, we could be like, wow, like that's some deep, tough stuff, and really sit with that. But then be like, we can come out of it and just be like, that's so encompassing of who I am, and it makes us more rich as people. We can bring that to the world, but we can also like laugh at it. We can make it seem, it's like telling a traumatic story without the audience being like, whoa, that was traumatic. Like that's kind of like what we'll have by the end of it.
Definitely. It's like the scars that we carry is something that
makes you beautiful.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
Everyone's like, I think it is. This is what it's like to have 7s, and you're like, like this is the 7 life. No, oh gosh, I love it. I absolutely love this, because I completely agree with that kind of mindset. Like for me, I've never found it, like I'm very frustrated when I'm not able to find something good to take out, because at the same time, accepting the fact that, hey, I'm not perfect, and I am gonna go into a 1 situation, like turn it, disintegrate into my 1, and be like, I am gonna want to pursue something of that sort, but I also have to be able to return back to my stability and be like, hey, this is life. Was it like Monica who said something like, hey, this is life, it sucks, but you're gonna love it? That kind of quote. And I was like, this is kind of definitely how I feel about it, because we are all going to, we went through some experiences, let's say, for example, and we will also eventually experience traumatic things in the future as well. Like it's not to say that we won't, and we can't kind of dismiss the possibility that we will also get that fair share of the negativity in the future. So might as well hug it all, take it all, and then I don't know, hopefully you come out of it better than you were before, right? Like that's literally, hopefully you don't die in the process. I mean, my friends tell me that apparently I'm the best to have in a car accident. That's what they tell me, which I'm kind of like, okay. Because I'm that kind of person where it's like, if you get in a car accident, my instant thing is, oh no, car accident. So how's your insurance? Like, are we good? Like I go into comfort mode. I'm very, are you okay? Do you need like food? You need to rest. Let me get the physiotherapist on the line. Like, because right? Like I go into this mentality right away, and they're like, oh wow, you really go into those thoughts. And I'm like, yes, because, well, what's the alternative? You sit there and bleed? Like, I don't really want to have that. Like, I don't want to not move again. Like, I want to be able to take action in situations. And I mean, maybe I'm speaking in conceptual terms, but Denzel, I hope we answered the question.
Yeah, hopefully that made sense. Do you want to touch on anything with the variance and just how we differ with that, just as type 7s?
Sure, we can do that. I don't know, do you want to start first as a social dom, or do you want to make me to throw down as an SP dom, or how that goes? Who do you want to?
It doesn't matter. I think for me, because wait, what are you? SPSO. That's right. For me, with the social instinct being my dominant one, it's just, I feel it's easy to gravitate towards a lot of people and have a huge fan base of people. Not fan base, now I sound like I want to be like awesome, but it's to have like a lot of people on my side, on my team. And that I'm never out of like things to do with certain people. So I always have people like at my disposal to some degree and that want to be there. And I feel like too, with a lot of the things in my life I've been blessed with are because of my social network. So I find like that's how it's almost a self-preservation type thing as well. I'm like, you might have your self-pres, but my self-pres is my social game. It's like the game of Survivor. My social game is like, so
that's beautiful though. I really like that.
And I feel like, yeah, like those, I feel like the people that we can gather as, and this goes for any social dom, is just like, they're not just there because we like them or all these surface interactions. It's like they are benefiting us in some way, to some degree.
Absolutely.
It's not just all about having fun and just having groups to be with, to feel like we're part of something, right? So a lot of my opportunities have been because of the people that I've met and because of just the connection that we've built in those small moments.
That's so cool, because I had to reframe my mindset to see people in the ethical way like that, because my first thing, and it shocked me when I first read about my SB thing, is that I really do use people as tools. Like that was the first thing that I kind of come across as. It's very, oh gosh, how do I, because my SP kicks in terms of it's always me first type of situation. Like I would say it's a cross between the Gatsby archetype and also the homemaker archetype as well. Like it's very tied between the two. So yeah. I have huge party going side of me where I want to keep pushing and making this thing. Yeah. But I also have a hard time like sitting down for a second and really thinking or feeling that I have to, for my connections that I have with people. Everything with people were just kind of strings that are based off of any kind of transactional thing I could think of. Only kind of I wouldn't say recently, but let's say there's like good years that passed where I finally kind of made peace with that and realized that I don't have to go at it alone, and I need to be more respectful of the connections I make, and that none of the things I have now were a result of just me. That there was people who helped me get like to where I was. I could feel a fear though in myself that it's very easy of me to go into that dark side again and be power hungry, even because I've had like what is it, like I've had situations I had an experience where I was a power hungry ENFP and like I wrestled control in the management position and I wanted it all for myself, and I was so shady and I was behind everybody's backs, and I would do all these kind of manipulative stuff because I felt that I didn't have security in a way. Like I needed that thing, and my SP was desperate to have that peace, and I didn't realize that the peace wasn't with the people, it was with me I needed to find the peace with. And so like that was like right, it's like your similar one with your like your social making peace with yourself, and I had to have one with my SP, and it was so rough because I actually had to apologize extensively to the people I did hurt in the past, like to other people I did kind of bulldoze when I was doing this power hungry session, because I ended up realizing I didn't want what I ended up getting it, but I didn't want it because it wasn't fulfilling. And I realized that the fulfillment wasn't in the tangible, it was in the intangible. And that's what I needed to pay more focus on and attention to. So of course, apologize to the people that I stepped on and all that kind of stuff and get with that. Another thing I would say as an SB, I think I have, oh gosh, I think it was on the tip of my tongue. I'm very big on, I don't know if this is the same with you though. Like I'm very big on getting deals and opportunities. Like I love opportunities just all day, all night. Like I could lose my life window shopping for deals. It's literally like the gig. Like I'm very into that.
Like extreme couponing.
It's a big thing of mine. And like I mentioned before, like the whole I want to have a house and the white picket fence and a mortgage. Like that's a big thing of mine because I want my space. Like I want this is to be mine. I want to be able to take care of it. Like I have this side of me where you won't see it. Like if I'm hosting, you'll see it, but usually I'm very cold to people. But when you like I invited you to my place or something, you're gonna get the fancy guest towel. You're gonna have a bed ready for you. You're gonna have like breakfast done. Have the clothing. Like I would get everything ready because when you've entered my kingdom, like that's when I can bring out all of this resource. Yeah, like all the resources I've accumulated, I can finally give it. And it's something that I really want to share with people, but it's definitely something I'm very picky with. And I don't know, like sometimes I'm jealous sometimes of social sevens, because you guys are so giving. I feel like you guys are really good at that. Like you guys seem to have a heart for everybody, and I'm like, I can't. I was like, no sis, not today. Like it's not really my thing. I don't know.
I have $30 left to my name. I'll spend half on you.
Oh, I can't. I'll be like, no, where's your $30?
Yeah, yes, he's like, that's all for me. Like, no. Yeah. And like it's funny that you mentioned like the house white picket fence thing, because my idea of a good like time and that, you know, if I had my own house type of thing would be like, well, can I live with my friends? You know, like can I have a place where like we come and go as we please, and it's just like that would be cool. I do want my space too, but
no, I organize all my connections with people. Whenever some friends of mine have exclusive access, like they can text me anytime. But sometimes when they're getting through a moment, they're having an emotional situation, I have to text them back and be like, hi, I'm busy at the moment. Can I call you back in half an hour? Can we compartmentalize your feelings for 30 more minutes?
Exactly. And you're establishing boundaries too, which for a social dom, they need to do that as well. Like you need to remember, and I'm SP blind, so you need to remember not to expend yourself at the cost of yourself.
So there's an SX dom I know, and they're very love me, and I'm like, sorry, I'm busy. That doesn't explain the dynamic completely. Yeah. It's very like I would want to be able to. I like to think in terms of like schedule blocking, even for feelings. I like to do that too. I don't know if you have a similar, but yours is more social. Like yours is probably like you have a friend for every moment, right? A friend for every situation. Like exactly. I feel like with myself, like yes, but also that's not the super priority. It has to be the SB first. Like I know, like because I also have social part of me as well. So I definitely fully relate to that. It's just that all of these friends that I have, they all demand time to some extent. So I have to kind of experiment and plan out. Like I would have calendars upon calendars on how to fix things like that, because I need to have me time. It's very me first, definitely. And I don't know, it frustrates my parents because they're very like, you have to be more selfless. Like you got to be more, out there and help, because my mom even called me out as not as approachable apparently. And I was like, oh, I thought I was, because I'm like whimsical and 7 weeks 16 and like, woo. But apparently that can also be a wall. And I didn't know. Denzel mentioned something here. I think I'm gonna bring it up. This one. I don't know if you see it. It says all sense about a social network to be secure, yes, but the gluttony in the social sevens being counter gluttony and social seven is super selfless in effort, which I definitely see. Like you want to share that $30, girl.
I'm just trying to see. All sevens are about their mafia or social network to be secure. Social sevens in effort. Yeah. I'm wondering how I'm interpreting this. So social seven is super selfless in effort. Well, yeah, to kind of like, it's almost like to preserve those people. Right? Yeah. And we will still do things. And that's, I think too, when you come back to the authenticity factor of being an ENFP, we want to know we're doing these things for people, but we're wanting to do them. We're not being forced to do them. Yeah. Right. And so I think that's true, because for me, like I'll do random little things for my friends all the time.
I actually have to remind myself to text my friends. That's a big issue of mine, actually.
I've noticed that about a lot of SPs. Yeah.
I really do.
And they even say it.
Yeah, I kid you not. Like when here, I'll show you Denzel's comment here. It's like, how will you help me? Then I'll help you. Lord have mercy, that in real words for me.
Oh, social networks. I read that so wrong the first time. I thought he was talking about social media.
Oh,
so, sorry about that.
But yeah, like it's just sometimes I forget that I am very because I'm busy collecting resources and going out of my way to have all of that happening. Like I love collecting skills. I love collecting, like with art, for example, I don't mind exploring different mediums all the time. And that could take me completely away from all my social connections. And then I experience a sort of guilt after, let's say, a week and a half would pass by and I go, oh, I haven't checked in with anybody. I was like, shoot, I need to call somebody. So I would send a text and be like, hey, how are you? Oh my goodness, I totally forgot. Like, I get into this thing. My question though to you, Alexa, is how are you with FOMO? Yeah. How are you with FOMO?
I feel I had this happen to me recently. So I had someone invite me out to go, like within social distancing, obviously in nature. Mm-hmm. We were just going to go for a walk, but it was going to be like
opposite ends of the pond somewhere.
Like this huge like day trip. Like I take my car, you take your car. We go out to like the middle of nowhere. We like camp out. We do whatever. We have a fire, snacks. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do that so bad. Like I just really wanted to do it. But then I let things kind of land a little bit. I go, okay, I really want to do this thing. That's why, and of course, if it's just, want to go here right now, I'll probably do it. So now I try to say to the people in my life, if you can give me a bit of a heads up, that way I can at least think about it. And I try to think if where I'm going, and a friend of mine said this, and it really landed with me too, was think about, will you be missed if you don't go? Are those your people? Or are they just wanting you there to be an extra number, to fill the space? So to prioritize those people first before you say yes. To also, like I said, give it time to land, right? So see how you really feel about it, and which I did. And I was having second guessing myself about going. And it was because I knew I had work to do on myself, in a sense, through my program, and answer some questions there and do the homework. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to choose me here. And I thought, even then I kind of toyed with it a bit. I talked to a friend about it. I said, I kind of want to go, and my friend goes, but you said but, so don't go. I said, true. So trust the but in those scenarios. Trust the but.
I didn't think that was going to be the advice. You end with that, trust the but.
I mentioned I make a butt comment, like with Caitlin. I did the same thing. It's too funny. But I think the fear of missing out, it's not always like, let's go to nightclubs and have a great time. It could be anything. It could be like choosing to see family because you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen them in so long. So that's how a 7 will rationalize it in their brain. Well, I haven't seen this person so long. I probably should go. And to what Denzel said here, social 7, if I help them and I'm nice to them, they'll hopefully also remember me when I'm in need. Apparently the subconscious social 7 thought. Definitely a subconscious thought, because I like to think, I don't need you to do any of this for me. Mm-hmm. But in that same realm too, when someone does check in on me, I'm like, thank you. So I appreciate it when it's given. Wow. But I think importantly, it's not to give yourself away to too many people. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, because you're expending yourself, right?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Because
how do you experience it?
FOMO's a hit or miss, I believe, in myself, because it's never a question of who I'm going to put first. It's definitely me first. That's that's kind of how it is. I've kind of learned though that I will share though, like my resource once I've gotten it with the people, like with my social tribe afterwards. So it's never really, I don't like to see it as a loss necessarily, but usually for me, when I know folks are partying out there and they're like having a good time, like I found out like friends will tell me, I'm out with like the fam and there's like 20 of us and we're having a good time. Mm-hmm. I'm actually super happy for them, like full on. Like I don't think I'm ever not happy for my friends, because I know that we've kind of created that bond already, and it's never really I would say an issue, I guess, on my end that I'm not there. But I really do believe when you said like, go to the people who will miss you, because I get like text, like they check up on me. Like my friend's a social dom too, so she will actually,
exactly, because if they'll miss you, those are the types that check in on you too, right?
Like, I would want you here though. I was like, like then I experienced the feeling of, okay,
that's
fine,
such a nifty love language, by the way.
Oh gosh, it's, like,
it's not that you asked, it's that you said you wanted us there.
True, but it's not as big. I think when there's a resource out there that I really want to get, and I didn't get it because, let's say, I didn't have enough funding, let's say, but then all my friends got to it because they got the resource already, like they had the money to go to that event, and that would feel FOMO in that situation also. I don't know, like it's just, I'm very keen on, you can always tell me what happened after. I'm not really gonna be like as if I missed a moment or something. Like you could always tell me the highlights and I'd still enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's not as strong, I would say, than any kind of like than a social dominant, I would feel. I don't know, because like some folks may even assume that like social blind is the least FOMO-ish or something, but I don't know. Like some like SX Dom sevens I feel can experience it too. Like they have, like even if you don't have social, you could experience it also. So it really does depend on kind of where you are in your life. Because like for me, I experience it now because well, one, it's not like we can go outside whenever we want to. So, and then being forced to five, like there was a time I didn't leave the house for 3 weeks, and I was like, how am I alive? I was like, I'm happy I had my little kingdom here, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really want to live like this. Isn't really life for me. So, like, where are my friends? Where are all the people? And then I'm kind of feeling anxiety a little bit because of feeling as if I haven't checked in with them enough. That my resources, oh gosh, my friends, sorry, not my resources. I slipped. The top of the thing, my resources aren't dying because they're living investments and I can't afford to lose that.
Like, no, but that's a good way. And I don't take offense to that either, right? Because to some degree, to be friends with someone, they have to give you something and you have to give them something for you to even have a friendship that's equal to some degree, right? That will last long. And you just
I'm ready to give to them like everything though. Like they have that exclusive access. So I would feel so bad if they were gone and I wasn't able to even return the favor that I have wanted to return the favor, right? Like it's just I don't know, I just feel like that's just a good, seems positive. I'm trying to make it positive without sounding like, like such a weirdo.
Like I'm not like, I said this in Joyce's interview as well. It's like I don't want to sound like an asshole, but it's kind of like picking up a book, reading what we need and getting what we need from it and putting it back down and referencing it when we need to. And
if that ain't the tea.
Exactly. You connected the dots for me a little bit though. I don't think I fully answered Denzel's question, but it was your question, the fear of missing out as being a social. It's who's gonna be there. So for me, it's who's gonna be there. That's what's important to me. And then I'm more like upset if I can't go, if there's a specific person I really want to connect with. Gotcha. So it doesn't even matter where it is at that point, but I'm like, oh my God, so-and-so's going to be there. I really need to go to that.
Change the game. Yeah. I would agree too. That would 100% change the game. If it's somebody I want or like or whatever that's going to be there, 100% you'll see me going. No.
And we're good at that too. Like on the fly, like if we have stuff going, we can like get out of it or like rearrange our complete schedule just to make this thing work.
The things I've done for my friends, like 100%. Like they're like, I need you right now because I'm crying, and I'm like, I'm in the middle of okay. And I'll just quickly, there's a meteor, and then I'll just end the phone call. Like call up my friend after. I'll be like, okay, I got out of a meeting. What do you need? Like,
have you ever done this? I will text 10 people the same thing. Hey, do you want to do this today? And the first one to respond, this is so rude. I can't believe I'm admitting this. I will literally be like, out of the first 5 people, I'm like, which one do I want to hang out with the most?
I mean, as an SP7, I'm like, that's exactly.
I totally just realized that about myself. I'm like, wow, I'm kind of, wow.
No, you're totally fine.
And then sometimes someone will respond and I'm like, well, you're probably going to ditch me in 5 minutes. So I have like 2 other people on the go at the same time. That I'm like, okay, who's going to do this? And it's like, whoever's first to reach out, ding, ding, ding. There we go. We have a winner.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing though. Like, I like to give disclaimers though, like for my friends like that. I have a circle, but there are of course closer degrees, and then farther and farther away. And so I would like, if the closest one isn't available, I don't know. I just like telling people that. Like I just like telling like a friend to be like, hey, you're not actually that close to me. Like I'll straight up say that. Like I'll be very honest about it. Be like, hey, we're not that close. So I'm sorry if I'm not.
We're not that close.
Yeah, we're not that close. Like we're not that. I mean, this is so SX blind of me too. Like there's no intimacy in this. It's like we're not that close. Sorry, I am going to draw a line here because I'm only wanting to hang out with you because you're fun. Like that's kind of what it is. And right now I have a friend over there who's crying. I'm gonna go to that one. Like that one, even if I would pick you because I want to have a good time, but this is a friendship of 10 years that I can't afford to lose this. So it's kind of, I think it sounds rude at first, but then I kind of do explain it because like Alex definitely explained it to them in a way
like prioritizing the relationship.
Exactly, because I can't just pick. We're not, I don't know, like we're not 10 years old anymore. We're not picking pleasure over.
I know this isn't like you're my BFF, FFFF.
Yeah, like this ain't some childhood playground situation. Like we are dealing with adults who have feelings, so of course you got to do something about it. Right, and all the battle scars you take in growing up, right? You didn't like pick up some kind of wisdom.
Yeah, that's a good question about that, I think, here.
Oh, Caitlin, I was just like, do you say that to them or just think it, oh, honey, I say it? I am very if I'm not good at being assertive like you are, Alexa, I can be weirdly assertive for those moments. I don't know why it is, but I've said something like my mom for example gets shocked sometimes with the things I would say. She'd be like, why are you hanging out with what's wrong with this person? I'm like, oh, he doesn't have friends. And then they're like, that's mean. And I'm like, well, it's true. Like, doesn't have.
But in your mind, you're like, but I'm his only friend. I'm doing him a favor.
Yeah, like I'm just, and like I have to teach it. And then like I would, oh gosh, the things I would say to people. I just realized that I do say a lot of weird things to people. Gosh, like I don't know. It's for those moments because to me, it's in the realm of disclaimers. And an INTJ X actually taught me this. She's like, show disclaimers, and then you could soften the blow. So now I just do it everywhere, like all the time. And so I'm very. Like if the person I know you're not that close to me or something, or if we're not having a good time, I would straight up tell that person. I would be
that's one thing I'm straight up about too. I don't
right?
I'm not great time right now. Yeah,
I would straight up be like, I don't really like this. Like you and I were never gonna be friends. Oh, I've said that line before, and everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
Like how could you? And I'm like, well, you haven't given me the opportunity to change my opinion, so. I'm still open to it as an any dom. It's still very open, but because the reality hasn't been giving me that kind of confirmation, I'm not really gonna like. We're busy. We're moving around. We're not gonna stay for long, right? You gotta latch on or get away. Like, I have this thing where it says you either drive with me or ride with me or watch me drive away. Like that's kind of my And I'm so thankful to have friends though who are awesome because I always feel as if I have to match up to them, which I feel is something that I've never been like. I feel like that's amazing. I always told my friends that I'm like, I don't want to be left behind to them, which is something that I usually never say because I'm always that person where you're like, I can handle it, whatever. But, right, to be able to find such strong people is such an eye opener. I feel like it's so cool. But back to that whole statement thing, it's like, I'm definitely going to be very honest about that. It's like, oh, I'm not having a good time. I was honest to this girl. We were drinking. Let's share this though. If she's watching, Lord have mercy. Too bad. But too bad. There's a limoncello in my system right now, and we're going to be real. So we were all drinking, and it was like a good time. But I decided that I wanted to shake up the room a bit because I was bored. You know, everyone's just kind of like everyone's like having a nice little cute, cooler, and no one's really getting anything. Like no one's getting anywhere done. So I turned to one girl. I'm like, why are you so quiet? And then she goes, oh, I just think I'm trying to be polite and I'm trying to acknowledge, everybody's needs. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But you're inconveniencing everybody with your silence. And she was just polite. I wouldn't say that. She was so like, what? And then everyone like looked at me like, how could you? And I was like, I'm just saying, like, you are fine the way you are, but you could be better. I was just so mean. And I mean, it contributed to some, like, it's in a way, though, I found it kind of fascinating because after that, she actually liked the truth, though, because at least someone was, like, straight up about it. Like I said to this ENFP6, I was like, you look like you have a lot of problems. And she's like, I do. I'm like, yeah, a lot of those problems aren't real. You should probably get rid of them. And she was just... she was just shocked. And I'm going, well, because I struggle, I think, with in a way when folks make problems for themselves. That is something I don't understand.
I agree with that.
Right? Because it becomes then your problem, right? Because they put it on you, which again, I don't mind because I will solve it. But if you didn't even intend to have me solve it for you, don't present it then to the table. Like, if you weren't ready to hear the criticism or where you went wrong or something, maybe not express it. Like, maybe that's not a good thing. But then if you're down for the slam down and whatever, like, let's do it. Let's have some fun. Because I mean, what better way to get to a solution, right? If we're all having a good time, and like if we're able to help you reframe your problem into a solution, like, come on, like, that's music to my ears. But it's like what you mentioned, like way back about, you know, if the person wasn't as open to that, yet they were already kind of making it their problem, everybody else's problems, and you have no choice but to step in, right? Like that can be a big issue. Like like usually, I mean, like, that situation for me happened because I was a little buzzed, so I got to say some things. Those are great times. It was a great night. I had such a good time.
You're more forthcoming that way than I am, so I would probably like, assess it where it's like, I'm not having a good time here. If someone makes a comment, I might just be like, I'll tell like my close circle, I'll be like, what the hell is going on here? Like, we need to go.
Oh.
Like stuff like that. Like, I'll make a swift exit. Like, I'll be like all about it. Like, you'll see me leave. Like, I'm not just gonna like bounce. You'll never know I left. But I'll be like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna go now. And usually I'm just off to the next best thing. Yeah. But I'm not as forthcoming with you that way. Like, I can't.
I like making it awkward like that because it's great. I don't know. Like, I've had some people, like, they get
I'll have those moments, but they're more like authoritative. Like,
I don't. Mine's very playful still. Like, it's still mischievous because the goal for me is to knock you off, like to knock your balance a little bit.
Yeah.
It's never actually because I'm not actually enjoying it. I'm just bored, and so I'm gonna do something.
That's more mischievous for sure.
Yeah, because you know, I didn't have to say it that way, right? Like, I didn't have to give her such a strange comment, but I mean,
I
don't know. I'm just kind of like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, I don't regret it because it. It's the 7 of me. It's like, I don't regret it. It was great. Everybody was entertained, so I don't see what the fuss was about. But oh gosh, I've had my parents called me out all the time. Like, I love them, but you have a 6 for a mom and a 9 for a dad. So being the loudest one in the room, like in the house, you get to the things that come out, be like, yeah, you're not doing this right, or you're not a good person, or you're not really being a good mom right now. It's like, bam, waiting for the little stabby. Oh gosh, I don't know. Like, I once told my mom before, I was like, Mom, I miss the times when we could just fight. Like, I miss those verbal sparring because, like, now you have like a high blood pressure. Yeah, like now you have a high blood pressure. Now I can't just do it because you could get in an accident. I'm so mean.
Is your mom a 6?
Yeah, my mom's a 6.
So now you're like, now, Mom, you actually have problems to worry about.
Exactly. I am this. Okay, here's this little mischievous. This is very 7 wing 6 of me, I feel, because I don't think a wing 8 like yourself would go this far, but I definitely did. So whenever my mom goes in the hospital and she needs to sleep, like, and takes a bed, I take it as an opportunity to take selfies of her with filters. So whenever she wakes up, I always present like a phone picture of like, hey Mom, this is you when you were asleep last night.
I've taken videos of my mom sleeping. Yeah. I'm like, do you know you snore?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's just, I don't know, I just think it's great. And I love it because it reminds me, well, maybe this is so heartless of me to say, but I'm like, Mom, you look so at peace when you're passed out.
I know, right? Nothing's happening.
Right, and it's like, it feels like the world is balanced. It's like, you were so mean. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm just living for it, living for this life. Oh gosh, I've taken, whatever I was like telling you, I was like, I take videos of like my friends being weird and all that stuff because it's great. I respect their privacy though. Like, I wouldn't like post it.
Yeah.
Not unless for like $200. No, it's like this weekend. No, I'm kidding.
That's very SP. What can I get out of this?
Right? Like, is there a monetary value? I'm very, if you're going to do this, can we at least get dinner first? Like, is that a thing? Can we get, like, I want to get food out of this. My gluttony kicks in. Like, I want to get some food out of this. Like, I mean, granted, I feel a lot of my best interactions happened over drinks and food. So I never really want to take that out. I don't know. Like, how are you on dates?
On dates?
Yes.
Ooh.
That's
I would say I would say, and it doesn't matter. Like a lot of the time people are like, well, aren't you nervous? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can be a little bit nervous, but I'm not going to not be me. And so I come in there and I'm like, I feel like I have a very reserved but playful kind of rapport with the person, and depending on what they're receptive to. And like, I think I make people feel at ease too, because like, if I'm a little like nervous, I'll talk. So if like the waitress comes up or something, we're at a restaurant, she's like, oh, how are you two doing? And it's like, we're doing so great. How are you? Like, and I'll just like kind of like focus on this. And then I can like turn around and be like, oh, look, you just saw a side of me. Does that make you feel comfortable? Like, it's almost like we're
so smart. Yeah. See, this is where my SX blind kicks in. I treated my last date as a job interview.
It's like using that charm to warm up the person next to you that you really want to get engaged with, right?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that's like. That's so hard. It's
not. You have it where like where like people are so talkative over text, and then you guys meet face to face. I'm like, I'm the same way. I'm like, the way I speak to you through text, whereas a lot of people might be like, oh my God, I did that. Now I have to show this side of myself. But I feel like I make people feel okay doing that.
I have decided that screw it. If people are gonna see me be a weirdo, I might as well have, because you're gonna see it anyway. So yeah, like you get it early. If you leave, at least it's a filter, right? Filter the people who like you. Because I can't afford to just, I don't know, like maybe that's the word I'm gonna go for. I can't afford to just sit there and be like, oh, by the way, I'm sort of normal. It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
like
that's like the S-ness of like. That's so bad. That's like it's like, I'm not gonna say it again, but sorry. Oh Jesus.
But yes.
This shit. Like that's what I've heard them say before, is when they're like,
absolutely,
I just don't have time for it.
I don't. But then it's funny though, because people's like, so what do you have time for? And it's like, you just see me playing a ukulele. Like, so technically my priorities are not exactly as TE as I'd like it to be. Like, let's be honest, I'm not a TE dom, so I'm not actually looking up stocks or anything like that. Like, that's not really my power. But I mean, I have different things I consider important, which is why I guess that's why I say the things I do, or do the things I say even. But yeah, girl, I treated my last date as a job interview. It was weird.
Oh my God.
I went there. I was very like, so your skills, your income, like what's your what's your goals?
Like, I have a checklist right here. Let's see if you meet the criteria.
It really, because my mindset was, well, here is all my flaws. Are you ready? It's like, good. It's like, it's all on paper. If you anything about that you don't like, we can always call it a day. At least we had a food out of this, and we'll talk next time. It's very, because I don't know, it just seemed. But then I told my friends this. I'm like, this is where I needed people, because I was like to my friends, I need you guys' help. I'm terrible in these.
That's such an SX blind thing. Because
I'm horrible at those situations.
If someone did that to me on a date, I would be like, oh my God.
It's like, what are you doing?
I would probably say, am I on a job interview right now? Yeah. I would actually say that. And that would be me trying to reframe it like, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, like I put on like an HR face, and then just like, it's not good. And
for me, I want it to be a more natural kind of like sharing session.
Yes. So, and I would too. It's just, I don't know how to get to that. I think that's the biggest issue I have with the whole scenario. Is like,
That's
you don't try. If you have to try, it's not happening.
Our blind spots, though, we feel we have to try to do them, though. Like, we're like, oh, we really have to think about those things. Whereas, like, and it sucks. I feel for the SX blind people, because a connection on that level isn't something you necessarily have to force. You can acknowledge, okay, this is someone that my intention going into it is, like, you know what I mean? But you're like, wait, that wasn't registered.
Yeah, so, for me, it's very like, okay, well, can I at least get that? Can I get a transcript of that?
Exactly. Can I have an earbud and tell me what to say?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I told my friend, so I have a friend who's, okay, my other one's SOSX and the other one's SXSP. And I was like to them, I'm like, you guys have exclusive access to give me advice because I don't know how to navigate this weird universe you call the sexual variant. It doesn't make sense to me. I like it. Like, I get it from a distance. I don't know how to engage with it. And so I'm like, if ever I go on a date and you notice I'm being off, please tell me. Like, please just send me a text and be like, yo, because there was this time where like, give her your jacket. I was like, I don't want to. I'm cold. Like, it's very like, why would I no, like I would be like, hey, where's your jacket? Like, I'm very
exactly. You'd be like, did you bring a jacket? Like,
sometimes I'd be like, I'm not gonna give you my jacket, but I do have a velvet blanket in the trunk of my like my car right now. I can bring that one out.
Now that sounds like you're gonna kill her. So
well,
but
see,
you know what? Just
this is why I need friends.
Like, I have a blanket. We were supposed to go on like a long walk in the dark. You want to come with me?
Yeah. See, this is and the thing is that I wouldn't have like, it wouldn't even register to me. It's very like, well, why not? I have food. I have like champagne. Like, it's just mathematical for me. And then, but then my friend would be like, "You're a killer. Like, stop." And I just feel like, oh,
let it go.
Like, sorry, I didn't know. I didn't. And then I would switch to that voice. So it's like,
you know what I would do, and because you are already so forthcoming, is don't be afraid to even admit that to your date or to a potential love interest. Like, that's, I always say, good thing. Well, I'm quoting Kyle Cease. I love him. He said, good thing you said the real thing, and then let those that don't align with you leave. So in essence, before you say something like, what's your income? What do you do for work? You might just be like, hey, I'm very passionate about a lot of things, and I quite like nervous, or just admit, be like, and that's a vulnerable thing for sevens too, right? But it's like, be yourself in that sense, right? Like, show the person, I'm just as nervous as you are. I'm just as this as you are. I'm just as inexperienced, or I'm just as whatever it might be. And then they naturally will almost like feel at ease with you. So and they won't be shocked by some of the things you might say. Maybe some, but you know, and I feel like that's helpful.
Because I'd be like, I have an itinerary plan, but that's because I'm that kind of person. But if
that's, it almost comes out very SJ.
Yeah, I the closest type that would have been mistyped for me was ESTJ, if it was anything else. Because, I mean, granted, I had SJ for parents and SJ for extended family, and just a lot of SJ.
I agree with Joyce.
Oh, yeah, SJ upon SJ upon SJ, and I'm kind of like, ugh. But yeah, like, I get, like, I see the value in being that kind of planned in a way. Like, I plan my life around, like, structured. But it's just funny because I have, like, my friends would be like, just be yourself. I'm like, you don't understand that type of statement. I'm like, it doesn't work for me. It's horrible. Because when my friend was like the SX stuff, he's like, it's okay, just go ask her out, you're gonna be fine. I'm like, no, you don't understand what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say, hi, how are you? I'm a crazy person. I'd like to have you in my car, right? Like, I would go all out. And he's like, okay, maybe we need to rehearse this. I'm like, yes, please.
Really? I never rehearse stuff like that.
Thank you for actually saying that, because I feel it's not so much as I can't wing it, it's more so my word choice. Like, the honesty is there. Like, I'm not afraid to be that real with a person, because I'm all about that. Well, if you can't ride with me, then too bad. But I have to say, like, I also don't want to miss out on opportunities, definitely as an SP, because that would hurt me more, is to miss out on the opportunity that I would have met an awesome human being, but I didn't do that because I wasn't doing it the right way, in a way. Like, I didn't make that person feel at ease, or I didn't even push myself in a way that allowed that person and myself to actually have that bond, which is basically the goal anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like, oh, that's so cool. So that's actually something to take away from the live stream, 100%, because I usually don't word it out at all like that. I'm usually aim for the most uncomfortable statement and then call it a night.
Right? Because either way, if you think you're gonna be, or you're not afraid to say those uncomfortable things, maybe because they're not uncomfortable, but now the challenge is to say the things that are uncomfortable for you.
Gotcha.
Which might be to admit, I don't know what I'm really doing.
Absolutely.
And it's going to,
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's also funny because like that's also like the truth about everything, really. Like, do we actually all know what we're doing? Like in a philosophical
and we don't,
state.
because the person next to you, exactly, they're going to go, damn. That's like what happens at work when someone gets a meal that turns out not being what they wanted and they hate it or something's wrong with it. I don't just go, oh yeah, let me replace that for you. I go, yeah, I hate when that happens. Like, I get it. I get how you feel. And instantly that being able to reframe and make personal, now we've developed like a common kind of like, oh, like you get it. You get me in this moment at least. And that's all you kind of need between the two people in that moment. And look, it's still a transaction but it's ideal for the two people involved as well. So now I've taken someone who's really pissed off at this moment, who's like, I'm having a bad experience with this, whatever. Yeah. And I've been able to go, look, I get it. I've been in your seat before. And I will make this right for you. Let me bring you something new. And in the meantime, and then I'll just kind of do a dance or like, just, like be my quirky, weird self. Yeah. And they're like, wow, like you just made this an experience. And I think sevens are so good at that. Make it the experience that you ideally want, but go to the places sometimes that might be uncomfortable to do it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're still a 7. Like, it's not going to change. Yeah, like you're still going to be you, whether or not that night's over or something. Yeah, no, completely. I've always heard, it's something I've been kind of growth thing I wanted to incorporate also, was that being able to understand that you could have missed opportunities and you could have salvageable opportunities also. Like, let's say your date didn't go really well at all, but maybe there was a connection there and you could still salvage it if you just, you could call them up again and see what's up. And like that can actually work still. Because I like to say to people on the first anything, I mean, like, I'm gonna give you the worst first impression. I say that always.
Now you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna give you the worst first impression because I will probably say something I didn't mean. I don't know your sensitivities. I don't know what this is gonna go down. So I will definitely mess this up. And well, let's, and then I'll be like, oh well, here we go. Let's just go crazy. I have to say though, this is something that differentiated because you were type 7 wing. It's funny, you were type 7 wing 6 when we first were talking, right, on Discord, and I was type 7 wing 8, which was hilariously crazy. I didn't understand that. Kat took about a year to, if not maybe 6 months, I think. Maybe I'm misaligning times, but she finally came up to me in DMs and she was like, "You are so nervous all the time." She was like, she's like, you like to put on this mask that you're this happy-go-lucky person a lot, and you like to say that you're an asshole all the time to these people, but in reality, you're not actually an asshole. You're really like considerate. You're nice. You open doors for people, and you're willing to go above and beyond for people. So it's like, this is a lot of thinking for a 7 wing 8 to go through. You can't be a wing 8. I was like, hey, I do a lot of thinking. And it hit. That was one of the lines that Rana was like, she goes, "I got it, didn't I?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm very uncomfortable. Like when she said that. And now I'm really like, it's been, I think, months or maybe a year since she told me that. And it's been something I've been bringing up a lot in streams, like in conversations, because it's such a big thing in determining whether or not you're a wing 6 or wing 8. Like, how often do you overthink about your fear? Because like for me, it's always overthinking. That's a big thing of mine.
And I find not really, like not as much.
Yeah.
Definitely not as much.
So chill. I was like, you're so chill.
In fact, if anything, it's almost the reverse. I really had to uncover what those were.
Dang, delish. Absolutely.
Delish.
That's the line that I now have. I'm literally, my face is either a meme or my words are a lot of, or just really, I don't know. I've just been using, I would say shenanigans a lot, even though I'm misusing the word. It's not actually correct, but here we are. I don't know. I feel like we've talked these people off for
2 hours.
2 hours. To the people who stayed. Wow, troopers.
Not gonna lie, I definitely wouldn't have stayed. Not because it's us, but just in general, I never watch full live streams. I don't.
No, absolutely.
It's like you pick up and then you just leave.
No, in all realness, absolutely. I completely agree. Like, I don't know how people can have the patience. Or maybe you have us on background. And if you do, like, congratulations, I love you. Let's put it that way. If you have a cell phone background, that's great.
Yeah.
If we're helping you clean your house because of this weird quarantine, and you talk to ENFP7s, chatting it up has somehow entertained you, I feel like it's a good day. So I guess I don't know, any final thoughts for the folks chilling here with us? Anything you want to leave them to take away? And I guess anybody else afterwards when they listen to the recording.
Well, I'll pull one out of the Nate book and I'll be honest, and I'll say something uncomfortable for me is I'm done with this conversation now.
Yes.
As uncomfortable as it is to say. I enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to share some things that I've always thought about it, and then learn actually quite a bit about just the differences between the 8 and the 6 wings. So no, it's been good. I'm surprised it went this long. Actually, no, I'm not really surprised. I was like, how much of a time slot should I keep open for this? But now my the fire in me is like, I want to go do something else, right? Same. So it's a nice day out and it's calling me. So I would say
is that you or is that me? I'm hearing a bird call. Is that your end?
It's a crow and it's calling me literally.
I have neighbors here with like steel pots and pans. I have to figure out, try to mute all of that. But no, absolutely.
No worries, because I can hear you when you're at.
Can we go up the ante and be like to the people, hey, we're also tired of talking to you?
Exactly, we really are. You're probably tired of
But I guess my last little tidbit, which should probably be about 20 seconds long, would be if you have any 7s in your life and you really want to know if they're a wing 6 or a wing 8, don't hesitate to look into this. Don't hesitate to contact us. I actually have you, Alexa, your Twitter handle on the description below already, so people can find you and hear what you got to say, because you have a wonderful growth-oriented mindset, which I find is lacking in a lot of people. I didn't realize that, because I was like, wait a minute, hold up, because when you were talking, I was kind of like, oh, it feels great to actually have to talk to somebody who's so kind of forward thinking. I'm all about that. I would get drunk to your voice, let's put it that way. Honestly, like, I would be like, yes, queen, like I would have the champagne and then I'll be like, the Moscato, this is making me feel beautiful, like I love it. So with that,
Nate, are you drinking because you can't handle this shit?
Yeah. No, I feel like I have to be drunk for some of those moments. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would be honest though with the person. I'd be like, hey, is it okay if we drink? But I'm not gonna go over the limit of I'm done with my 16 shot realness. That's over. That's a side of me I don't want to. Once we vomit the butter chicken and you cried over that, you don't want to do it again.
Oh my god, that image.
And I cry when I spill food. It's very like, no, my gluttony, like it's on the ground. I would. That's the instant cry for me if ever I drop food. But anyways, beyond like that, for the people to let them go. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, your day, your month. You have anything else?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
If you know any 7s, check in on them, because they won't admit it, but they probably need you to say, hey, how are you doing? And then they're going to be like, oh, I'm good. And then you're going to be like, no, are you
No, you're
not. And just be really forthcoming with how you feel, because they appreciate that too, right? And encourage that with them too, like, hey, just like you don't always have to be. And
absolutely, yeah,
they'll appreciate that a lot.
Well, it's a good final thoughts. Thank you guys for listening, and till next time, Alexa, till we ever have another one of the. Want to roast them next time?
Ooh,
maybe we should do that. Like roast all the types next time, and
right?
see. And maybe over another glass of drinks also. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, thank you guys. Have a great
everybody.
Everything, I guess. Well,
right.
I'm terrible at goodbyes, and for a weird way. I love how you went with it. I'm actually terrible at ending it, but we're gonna end it now. So, okay, bye.